Hello and welcome to Eurofootball Daily, where today we're looking at the 5 biggest flops of the season so far. 5. Victor Lindelof. He may be just 23, but Manchester United paid €35 million for Victor Lindelof in 2017, expecting a defender who could immediately improve their passing out of the back. The Swede was coming off the back of 2 title-winning seasons with Benfica, during which time the club's defence conceded 40 goals in 68 games. Unfortunately, the youngster is yet to impress at Old Trafford. He's played only around 700 minutes, or roughly the same as Eric Bailly, who has been sidelined with injury since November. And he's yet to demonstrate the passing ability which led Mourinho to make him the 13th most expensive centre-back ever. Lindelof passes forward 70% of the time. That's a lower rate than Jones, Bailly and Smalling, and despite his more conservative play, his passing accuracy is actually lower than Jones at 89% to 92%. He also makes relatively few defensive actions. While the other United CBs all win the ball back more than twice a game, Lindelof makes a combined 1.4 tackles and interceptions. That's less than Henrik Mkhitaryan. Despite his 6'2" frame, he isn't much better in the air either, with a 41% aerial win rate. That's over 25% worse than any other central defender at the club. Though he's had limited minutes on the pitch, Lindelof is the only United defender to commit an error leading directly to a goal in the Premier League this season, and he's unlikely to retain his place once Bailly returns to health. It remains to be seen if he can make good on the promise which first attracted Mourinho. 4. Renato Sanches. A €35 million signing in the summer of 2016, it took just 43 appearances before Renato Sanches wore out his welcome at Bayern Munich. But the midfielder, who'd been named Golden Boy a year earlier, was still in high demand, and Swansea had to pay a reported €8 million to take Sanches to Wales on loan. He's since started just 9 of Swansea's 22 league games and has failed to show the form which helped carry Benfica to a domestic double in his first professional campaign. Despite Swansea averaging around 47% possession, that's the 9th lowest in the league, Sanches makes only around 2 tackles and interceptions per game. He's also dispossessed a massive 3.2 times a match, which is around a quarter of all the dispossessions Swansea suffer as a team, and he doesn't make up for it in attacking output. With just 0.8 chances created per 90, he's roughly level with 30-year-old Nathan Dyer, and he's yet to register a goal or assist in English football. The one area where Sanches truly excels is dribbling. With 3 take-ons completed per game, he ranks 10th in the Prem, and the only central midfielder with more is Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who has seen substantial minutes in an attacking role. These numbers suggest Sanches could be better out on the wing, something new boss Carlos Carvalhal seems to agree with, having used the Portuguese there against Watford and Tottenham. The 20-year-old has rewarded his new boss with his best performances of the season so far, and with Leon Goretzka likely to be joining Bayern in the summer, Sanches still has time to impress potential suitors, and maybe save Swansea from the drop. 3. Joe Hart. What could be more West Ham than signing up an unwanted Joe Hart to a year loan, with the Irons handing England's number 1 £120,000 a week for the privilege. The stopper has seen a huge dip in his reputation since the arrival of Pep Guardiola at Man City, and this year he's had to watch his parent club soar while enduring the worst season of his career so far. Hart displaced Adrian at the start of the season, but across the first 14 games of the campaign, he conceded a whopping 30 goals. That's roughly 2.1 a game. That prompted a return to the first team for the Spaniard, and while a change of manager looks to have helped as well, Adrian has conceded just 1.3 goals a game since he came back into the side. That's led to Adrian keeping 3 clean sheets in 8 games. That's as many as Joe Hart had managed in nearly twice the appearances. And the Englishman can't hold a candle to Adrian's shot stopping either. Hart has made just 1.1 saves per goal in 2016-17, meaning every other shot against him goes in, while Adrian's rate is strong at 2.7. That's miles above Petr Cech on 1.6 and not far off Ederson's 2.8. Hart can't even claim better distribution than his rival. This year, 50% of Hart's passes have found their target, which, for a goalkeeper, is actually better than it sounds. Adrian, however, just pips him at 51%, and his passes are on average a huge 15 metres longer, implying that the former Betis man is actually the far superior distributor. Couple all of this with Hart's 2 defensive errors in 1,300 minutes, which unsurprisingly both led to goals, and West Ham have pretty much flushed another wedge of dildo money down the toilet on the unnecessary signing of a so-called big name. 2. Davy Klaassen. After 2 seasons as Ajax captain, it's been a steep decline for Davy Klaassen at Everton. The Dutchman moved to England for €27 million, but has played a paltry 400 minutes in the league and Europa League combined, finding himself behind Schneiderlin, Gay, Sigurdsson, Rooney and even Tom Davies in the centre of the park. When he has played, Klaassen has been exceptionally poor, perhaps suffering from confusion over his role. He's played as a defensive midfielder, an attacking midfielder and even on the flanks, and his stats look confused as a result. In 9 appearances across Everton's 2 main competitions, he's regained possession just 11 times, an average of 2.3 per 90 minutes. That's far too low for a holding player. But without a goal or assist, his output is not good enough for an attacking player either. He currently creates a chance roughly every 108 minutes and shoots at the same rate. That means he shoots less often than Manchester City's Nicolas Otamendi, who manages an attempt on goal every 81 minutes. By comparison, Klaassen picked up 9 assists and 13 goals in the Eredivisie in his final season with Ajax, creating 2 chances and shooting twice per match. That suggests that there is plenty to come from the 24-year-old if he's used correctly, as do his stats from the 14-15 campaign, when Klaassen played as a defensive mid and won possession 4 times every game. For the Netherlands international to come good at Goodison Park, Sam Allardyce will need to decide what he wants Klaassen to be. 1. Leonardo Bonucci. In his last 3 years at Juventus, Leonardo Bonucci and his cohorts conceded just 71 goals in 114 games. But after winning a record 6 consecutive Scudetti, the centre-back fell out with Max Allegri and jumped at the chance to join a resurgent Milan, costing the Rossoneri €42 million and a further $7.5 million in wages a year. That's the highest salary in Serie A. Already 30 years old, Bonucci was meant to organise a team in upheaval after bringing in 10 first-team players in the summer, but the Italian has looked half the player in red and black. Milan are currently in mid-table with a negative goal difference, having conceded 1.4 goals a game. That's the same as 19th placed West Brom in the Prem. And the defender's individual stats have declined significantly too. From attempting 68 passes per game last season at Juve, he now plays 51 passes a game, though his completion rate remains steady at 87% and a similar proportion go forward at about 82. Tackles and interceptions have slid from 3 to 2.5 and aerial wins from 58% to 54%. Now those may sound like marginal differences, and they are, but with less accomplished players around him who are also still adjusting to a new system and new teammates, they've seen Bonucci's defence conceded 10.4 shots a game, with 60% of those coming from inside the box. Only 48% of the 9.3 shots a game Juventus allowed last year came from less than 18 yards out. With Juve, Napoli, Roma, Inter and Lazio all much stronger than Milan, it looks like Bonucci will not only end his career without another title, but possibly without playing another game in the Champions League. After Man City and Chelsea both pursued him in the summer, Leo must be kicking himself. So those were our 5 flops of the season so far, but who would you have included? Let us know in the comments below. Now, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to get your suggestions in for new scout reports that we could do in the future in the comments, and of course, make sure to like and subscribe.